Hi, welcome to my political show, Come the Political Times. Today on the show talking about a topic that I like to call, has President Trump crossed the line? That is an important word, crossing a line. President Trump is the king of the line. Sometimes so far he has managed to stay behind the line. I tell you why he might have crossed the line after many years to cross the line. Before that, before we like the show, I like to say hit the bell icon and subscribe to my channel, and also comment on the comment section what you agree on my opinion or not. And also look back at my previous episode about the Republican RNC, or the Republican National Convention. Look at episode as well. So let's start off the show. Now, first let's talk about this thing very clearly. President Trump so far has hurt possible humans, possible people with general feelings, but we often let go of that for his brilliant handling of the economy and etc. But I'm starting to feel that his economy is also becoming his weakness. Is it his fault? Not necessary. But unfortunately, President Trump's reign is now sort of giving a different face to the people to understand. I like to call the repeat of the 1970s again, the repeat of the Arab oil crisis era, the time when the President Richard Nixon and all Israel circumstances led us to have a shortage of oil. All that and the 80s recession and all that. I might even go this far as the 1920s, the coming recession. Now, I must admit this. I didn't thought something like the 1970s or the 1980s can probably happen again. Considering the economic revivals in the 90s, thanks to President Clinton's revivals in the 90s, I started to think there's no way the US economy can actually fall back to old laurels again. And also considering how President Obama rescued the economy in 2009 and 10. And it's hard to imagine, isn't it? Because now we are living in a time where we are having a tough time, unemployment is rising, people are finding it hard to survive, and it's becoming very clear that if this doesn't change, very soon people start losing money fairly quickly. And when that happens, I can assure you, no one can save your financial situation. But President Trump so far have managed to keep the economic strength on a very good line. There's no question until the COVID-19 pandemic, I can assure you, President Trump managed it fairly well. So what's his Achilles heel in the circumstances? It's simple as this. Wear a mask. This is a mask that can save millions of people's lives in the world. It can stop the spread, it can at least make the spread certainly go away. But unfortunately, people in the United States are not wearing a mask like this. They might find it rather unpatriotic. I'm going to ask this question. I accept that you are not being led by your leadership to wear a mask like this. I accept you have not. But I'm going to ask a question. This tiny mask can save your life. With this, you can live your daily life with a little bit less scarcity in your mind. And if there was this mask you are wearing, maybe we are able, many people to go to the United States, start their business ventures and etc. People would able to go travel and live their life. But this mask is your ticket for that. But of course, you're not wearing the mask. So, this is the thing that does that for you. But you are not wearing the mask and the rest of the world is suffering on economic regression because of your absenteeism. And of course, you might say, hey, does a mask save your life 100%? Nothing saves 100%, but you can do your part to make things right. Certainly, please do your part, because the world doesn't need a shutdown United States. Of course, the world doesn't also need a United States where its own president criticizes its own military, calling wars are to keep war contracts happy. Mr. President, I've always been a fan of you for a long time, how you handle the economy, not so much on social affairs. But President Trump, I guess the line has now been drawn. I guess you crossed it a bit. No soldier, President Trump, wants to go to war. No soldier wants to sacrifice their lives in a war field shot by a freaking RPG in their head or in their arms. No person wants to lose their legs or arms or eyes or anything. No one wants to die in a war field, President Trump. No one does. But it's the human nature. Wars exist. If we don't fight wars, we would have nothing left in humanity at the moment. Sadly, I can tell you, many soldiers might doesn't want to go to war. They would love to have a peaceful place in the world where they can go to their families and their kids, do a peaceful job and actually do something else. But, this is the catch. Love for their country is what brings them to them. They risk their life of patriotism, and I don't think President Trump, it's a very good call to criticize your own army on wars. And don't forget, if the soldiers didn't go on World War II, we wouldn't have a world that exists today. The world we exist right now could have been far different. And President Trump, trust me, there wouldn't be a corporate America if the World War II wasn't then by the soldiers. It could have been, not would have been existed. So President Trump, no soldier wants to go to war. What choice they have when the world is on war? What choice they have when President Bush had to declare war after 9/11? It wasn't easy for President Bush to call war. He doesn't like bloodshed either. No one likes bloodshed. That's the reality, President Trump. No one does like bloodshed. I can personally say, myself, I'm not a fan of war. But again, if war is necessary, soldiers have to go to a war site. That's how it works. The reality is that some people might say what he's saying is right. But let me ask you a question. The only reason contracts exist in the military or army, etc., is quite simple, really. It's because wars are more and more brutal. I can assure you, unlike World War II, you can't use the same tools in World War II to fight the current wars around the world. The Middle East isn't exactly peaceful. But then, if you don't fight a war, then how can you end a war? And the unfortunate part is many people might disagree with President Bush's call in 2001 and 2 and 3 about the war in Iraq. But let me tell you something, President Trump. The war in Iraq had to be done. If it weren't, the United States would have suffered a major setback and the world would have been a less safer place. And I get it. Why should I explain these things to you? Other people should explain to you. I get it. Some people, look, President Trump, all of us know our world understands. War is not something that we love. But unfortunately, it's a part of our human brain. It's a part of the human choice. War exists. War might even got us in our previous humanitarian in the last time. Who knows what war cost us? But unfortunately, you can't end war just because we don't want war. And I start to think that soldiers are the people who sacrifice their lives for us, for our safety, our health, and make sure we don't get kidnapped as we go around the road, or we don't get screwed up on ourselves. Reality is soldiers give their life for us, and I think we should give them the tribute that they deserve rather than criticizing them for their actions. And I would often say this. With everything else, like social affairs and on this topic, I agree with President Trump on China. China has grown so much that other countries deserve to come into the fact. There is no question that China has grown significantly. But the problem is, this is not the way to deal with something like this either. Is it fair that China gets bans and etc.? Maybe. But I guess there is something called diplomacy in a far different way to deal with these problems. But I know President Trump will understand these things. He's a sensible man, he's a successful businessman. I guess he should understand you don't go to a negotiation table with a half leg gone. It doesn't quite cut the slack. Again, that is the argument is, Joe Biden doesn't have to do anything special to win this election. If Joe Biden stays away from the circumstances of weird circumstances and issues, I can tell you everything will be fine for Joe Biden. For President Trump, the election victories are getting slimmer. But I will tell you this. President Trump still has a chance to win. He can still win this election. That's only if we avoid further controversy. He will still have a glimmer of hope of winning this election. If he wins, I wouldn't be surprised. That's why I will tell you this. I will not bet who wins the election. I will not say who. At the circumstance, Joe Biden is leading. He should win, according for the numbers. What do the people you think? Should Joe Biden win? Or will President Trump make a comeback? But for him to make a comeback, sparking about his military, I don't think it's a fairly good call to make. Because we all know how that ends up fairly well, doesn't it? It's not a very good call. because they sacrificed their lives for us, and I guess they deserve a little bit more credit than they get. And rather than calling them people who does things in the war field, they don't want to go to the war field in the first place. I can tell you many people would want to be engineers and doctors and motorists. I'm just saying, many things is possible. But they gave their life for the people of the United States, and I guess they deserve a little bit more credit. But I would still admire President Trump's economic strength and all of the skills. But again, President Trump better get the economy back in shape, because his charm on the economy might be slightly slipping on the circumstance, considering the facts in mind. But of course, there's nothing more to talk about it. In short, Joe Biden is now leading the pack. But President Trump should make his life hard enough even further. President Trump can win this election, and there has made a chance. In 2016, he was way behind and he won. He has a chance. But this is the problem. He must avoid further controversy to stay in the constituency. If he avoids controversy, I guess it's a tight run for the battle. In as uncertain times, I would argue it makes rational sense, doesn't it? So thank you as I end the episode on that topic. Thank you very much for joining my show. Hit the bell icon and hit the like button and subscribe my channel. And please put your opinion on the comment section. Do you agree with me or not? Thank you very much.